Okay, good afternoon. I think I'm live. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to PTM Hangout. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. If you are with me, please let me know that you're with me. My name is Maribeth Chima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and community. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Are you with me? If you are with me, please don't just stay in the background. I need you talking to me. Let me know that you have joined me on this live stream. I am streaming from the capital city of Nigeria. I am streaming from Abuja. If you are here with me, let me know where you are joining me from. And then let me know if this is your first time joining us on the PTM Hangout. Today, we're talking about something that is very, I'm sure you've heard me say a number of things are dear to my heart, but this one is very dear to my heart. Today, we're talking about reading. Right, we're talking about reading. Hi, Adeze, it's good to have you. Thank you for joining us from Abuja. All right, if you are with us, where are you joining us from? If you are on our YouTube channel, please hit the subscription button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's fine. Hit the subscription button and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and do not forget to hit the notification finger so that every time, or thumb, right? So whenever we come online, you will see us and you will not miss out on the value that we share here every Thursday at 1 p.m. and at other times. All right, so today we are looking at how you can introduce reading to your children. Okay, I am not going to go through that whole process of talking to you about the importance of reading, because I know by now that you know that reading is very important, right? By now, you know that reading is very key in the life of every human being. I mean, for starters, you cannot be literate without reading or learning to read. And I hope you know that as soon as you become literate, you can never be illiterate again, right? As soon as a child learns to read, right? As soon as a child learns to read, the child cannot unlearn reading. So that's why it's very key that you want them to learn to read, right? You're doing all that phonemic awareness, you're doing all that reading, teaching them how to read. I mean, no sounds, blend the sounds, and all of that. The moment the child starts reading by the time they are about in reception, right? We don't really get too worried until the child gets to about reception. When the child crosses 5, 6 and the child is not reading, then you start looking at, okay, why is the child not reading? Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be just delay and all of that? So before then, I mean, it's not really such a huge deal that your child is not reading. But at that point where they get to reception, where they get to the class before year one, whatever they call it in your school or your child's school or wherever you are, you know, the nomenclature are too many. Yeah, I mean, I went to a school the other day and I heard that there's nursery 1, there's nursery 2, nursery 3, nursery 4. What is all that? Anyway, whatever it is. But the moment your child gets to about 5, 6, of course, your child should start reading and all that. So the moment a child begins to read, the moment a person becomes literate, they cannot become illiterate again. They will always be able to read, right? So you see, reading is very important. And we know all that other story about when children read or when people read, your store of vocabulary is richer. Yes, people who read, you will know, right? You will know when you meet people who have read or people who read lots of books, because they have excess words, right? They have lots of words to play with. They have lots of words to use in their interactions, because you come across words every time when you read. Apart from that, when children are able to cultivate, see, I said I wasn't going to talk about the importance of reading, but hey, there is no way you will talk about reading without at least talking or touching a bit on why it's important to read, isn't it? Right. So when your children cultivate, now to read is one thing, as in learning the act of reading, where you learn sounds, where children learn sounds, they learn to blend the sounds, they learn sight words, and learn all of these things. They learn about digraph and and all of that. So at that point, they're learning all of this. You're learning to read. So that's one. You've gotten literacy out of the way. You are now literate, right? You can now read. Now, it now comes to the next phase of it, or the next level of it, is your child, does your child enjoy reading, right? Does your child enjoy reading? Will your child read because they just love to read? That's where we start talking about helping your children read for leisure, your children learning to read for leisure, right? Because we are very big on raising children who are lifelong learners, and not just children who read because they need to read to do well in school, or they need to read to pass exams. So what we are concerned about in this class is helping your children become lifelong learners, and then helping them cultivate the habit of reading for leisure. We want children to be able to pick a piece and read it because they love to get knowledge. They love to be informed. They know that when they read, they will know more. Because the truth is, a person that loves to read is a person that is open to knowledge. A person that loves to read is a person that will have a deep store and deep insight into learning. And that's another thing. When you can help children cultivate the habit of reading, what you realize is you help them, you save them from mediocrity. You save them from mediocrity. They stop being people who just follow other people, or who just say things because other people said them. I mean, if you go on social media, you will you will laugh, right? If you go on social media and see the number of literate people we have who do not read, I mean, it's appalling how a post will come online and people just look at the picture and they begin to comment. Meanwhile, that post came with a text, or the post came with a text. But no, to tell you how a lot of literate people who have gone to school, who have learned phonics and learned, grammar and learned all of these, people who have gone to school yet do not love to read. And, people used to say, people say that Africans or Black people don't like to read. I mean, I beg to differ. I mean, it's an individual thing. Different people, some people would read and some people would not read. And yes, reading is not the easiest habit or the easiest skill, right, to cultivate. So that's why you have more people who do not read than people who read. Okay. And because it's not the easiest skill, because there are other things that are more enticing, more entertaining, right? More enticing, more entertaining, and then the entertainment is quick. It's very easy for your child to go with quick entertainment than for your child to commit to reading books and getting the entertainment that comes from reading a material. So yes, if you are not intentional as a parent, because it is a skill that does not come automatically or does not come easy for a lot of people, you are going to give, you would do your child a disservice if you're not intentional about them reading. Okay, yes, we know there are people, especially it's common even amongst girls, there are people who pick the habit of reading early, on their own. Right. So that time, when you were back in the secondary school, primary school, you would see how the girls in your class, would probably share books and they read books and all of that. So there are people that reading will come easy. That's habit, or sorry, the skill, right? There are people that skill comes to easily. Naturally, they just pick the habit or they start reading. But that's another thing about reading. It is a skill that momentum has to be sustained, and that child has to be encouraged. If not, you will lose it. Remember, I said you will never stop being literate. Okay, that's different from being able to pick a book and read, or cultivating the habit of reading. So yes, you will always be literate as soon as you become illiterate, right? As soon as you become literate, as soon as your 5-year-old starts reading, she will always be able to read materials. As soon as your 8-year-old begins to read, even the child who has struggled with reading over the years, like reading, I'm talking about, phonics and grammar and all of that, right? So the moment your child begins to read, the child will read for the rest of their life. The child has the ability to read. But to cultivate the habit of reading, that comes through reading for leisure, for your child to get to the point where I just pick this book and I want to read it because I love to read. That one is it's an extra thing, right? That's an extra thing that if you notice your child does not have, it doesn't come naturally to your child, you would have to help them cultivate that habit. And even if it comes easy for your child, or if your child gravitated towards reading from the beginning, then you would have to intentionally help your child sustain it. Okay, you have to intentionally help your child sustain it. And even for your child who is already reading, you will have to help your child begin to diversify into all kinds of reading. Because sometimes we have children who read a particular genre of book or read a particular kind of book, right? And you realize because nobody helps them to transition from one kind of book or one level of reading to another level, you will see them just, hang around there, and then they just read certain genre of book, for pleasure, and then they miss the opportunity to take that skill to a higher level where it becomes like deeply beneficial to them. So that's where you come in as a parent. That's where you come in. This skill is not the easiest skill. I mean, if it's easy, how many of us read as parents? I mean, start with yourself. Ask yourself, how easy is it? When was the last time you picked a book and finished reading that book? When was the last time you even picked a book at all? When was the last time you read yourself to relax? When was the last time you read a material that you were not forced to read? When was the last time you read for the sake of reading, not because you were preparing for one promotion exam or one professional exam or something like that? Thing is, when children read, you will see how vibrant they will be. I mean, children who read are assertive. Children who read are vibrant. Children who read are, they're pleasure to be with. If you see a child who reads, when they talk, you will know that this one reads. If you see a child who reads, you will have conversation with them and you will be proud as a teacher, as a parent, as a neighbor. You will just be proud, right? It is, in today's world, in the 21st century, we can't even afford to raise children who do not love to learn. We can't afford to raise children who do not love to read in today's world, because it is the era of knowledge. It is the era of knowledge, where knowledge is what will set you apart. And then that knowledge comes from the fact that you enjoy learning. It is said that what is coming, what is coming, and it will come. That's the truth about it. What is coming, where technology is going to, where AI and all of these intelligences are going to, we don't even know. People cannot even project into the next 10, 20, 30 years. We can't project. So as it is, you cannot even prepare your child. You as a parent cannot even prepare your child for the future. Right? You can't even prepare for your child for the future as it is right now, as in concrete terms. Like in the past, our parents could prepare us for what was it now, what was available. You are either going to end up as a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a government official. Hi, Amola, good to have you. All right, a government official, a dentist, you will just end up in some of those things, right? We didn't even have activists per se. We didn't have activists per se. So our parents didn't have to prepare us for anything, more than just a profession. That's what our parents prepared us for a lot of the times. And then they prepared us for marriage. So when they are, for a girl, when they're making you go through certain things, they kept on saying to you, if you don't learn to cook, if you don't learn to do this, no man will marry you, no man will this, no man will that, right? Then for the boys, what was it that they even say? For the boys, you hear things like, if you don't work, nobody will give you this, nobody will give you that. The world is hard. Nobody will give. There's no free lunch. We hear all of those kind of things. There's no free lunch. So you need to learn, because you will have responsibilities and no one will give you free lunch and all of that. This was all that our parents had to say to us and all of that. So basically, we could go to school, plunge ourselves into our books, read all those medical books, or read all your botany books, read all your zoology books, read all read all those things that were related to your profession, and that was it. Because hey, you're guaranteed that after that you will get one of those professional or high end jobs, and then after that your life is good. But the truth about it is, so our parents could prepare us for that. All they needed to do was put us in the best schools, get us people who would support us, for those of them who did. Okay? Put us in schools, get us people, unity schools. That time you go there, the teachers will make you do prep and all of that, and you're focused, you come out with the A's and all of that. And your parents can do like this: I have done well for you. Get you into, admission into one of those good schools, and that's about it. From there, you take on your life. But the thing is, today, you can't even prepare your kids like that, because you do not know what to prepare them for. We don't know what to prepare them for, because we don't know what the world will present in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time. I don't know. I saw somewhere yesterday how the first hotel in Mars is about to be launched. Is it not reality? Right? Is it not reality? I heard Elon Musk's first hotel in Mars is about to be launched, and it will take about how many billion naira to lodge for one night. That is someone thinking. This is the world. So meaning in 10, 20 years, people will actually be going for vacation. I will probably just say, something, I'm going to go to Mars on vacation. Probably that. Now, we don't even know what it entails to be in Mars yet. We don't even know what, do you understand? So meaning our kids will probably decide to take on jobs probably in Mars. So they just come to you and they say to you, "Oh, Mom, I'm going to be living in Mars for the next 10 years. Do you understand? We don't even know. We can't tell what it is. So you cannot, as it is, prepare your child for the future that even you do not know. So what are you preparing? What curriculum are you preparing them for? Right? So you can't do that. So what do you do? Hey, Chidima, it's good to have you. Hi, Adeze. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. So what can you do then? The most we can do is to prepare the ground for learning. The most we can do is to nurture the ground for learning. The most we can do is to prepare them to be able to learn anything, because that's the only thing we can give to them. So you want to stimulate your children highly. You want to help your children prepare their minds for the future. You want to make your children people who want and love, who enjoy learning, because for the next 10 or 20 years, okay, whatever is going to come at them is going to be new, and they will have to learn it. So only children who know how to learn, only people who enjoy learning, only people who know how to put themselves in a space for learning, they are the ones that will set themselves apart for the world that is before them. So if you're not raising a lifelong learner today, if you're not raising a child who loves to learn, if you're still raising someone that just wants to know just wants to know dance step and do like this and do like this and do TikTok videos and all of that, if that's what you are raising, then you are preparing your child. You are preparing your child for a struggle. You're preparing your child for failure. So yes, because we do not know the future in 10 years time, we don't know what's coming at us. We don't know what's coming at us in 10 years, in 20 years time. And the good thing is we're going to be here. A lot of us are in our 30s and in our 40s. So in 30 years, you are going to be, if you're in your 30s, in 30 years, you'll be 60 now. If you're 40, you're going to be about 70 thereabouts. So no. We're living well, we're exercising, we will still be here. So yes, you will be here to witness the world that you didn't see coming. You will be here to witness that world that you couldn't have prepared your child for, because you didn't know how to prepare your child for. But you didn't even know the world. Credits to you. You didn't even know what to expect, basically. Okay, so the only thing you can do is to prepare your children with the right skill, is to prepare your children to enjoy and to love to learn, is to prepare them to be lifelong learners. So at every point, if your child clinches a job to go to, clinches a job or decides to build the next hotel or to build the next church or to build the next library next to Elon Musk's hotel in Mars, it is only because the child can be challenged to know, to learn, and to, manifest. Elon Musk has that he has the hotel in Mars today, okay? Reality, he has it in Mars today, not because someone did before him. He's the first person. So how do you think he got there? He learned. He was ready to learn. He keeps learning. Have you listened to his interviews? Forget every other aspect of his life. Give credit to this man. His head is something else. So that's what we want to raise. We want to raise children that we prepare the ground for, and that they can take the ground, the stimulation that we have created, and they can run with it. Am I still talking about reading? Oh, yes, I am still talking about reading. So, yes, for you to raise this kind of children, you must prepare them by helping them cultivate the habit of reading because they love to read, of reading for leisure, of reading because they enjoy reading. And you know the good thing about reading for leisure, it would trickle. It would trickle to every other thing. It would trickle to the academics. It would trickle to, their jobs. It would trickle to every other thing. So what you need to do is get children learning and enjoying to read, because when a child loves to read, the child can read about anything and everything, and that's how you get knowledge, by committing and reading about this knowledge, isn't it? All right, so very, very key. That's why even in our summer activity camp, so our summer challenge, so we have a reading challenge that is coming up. I'm going to be telling you about that challenge. It's not the regular challenge. It's not your everyday challenge. It's kind of different, because at PTM, what we do at PTM is to help you put your hands to the plow and get the work done. We know that you are getting information. There's a lot of information around. We know that you know what to do. We know that you are not novices anymore on this parenting journey or in this space. We know that you are getting knowledge, even though we know that there are people who are not. Okay, but we are more concerned about those. Yes, we preach the gospel and we want more people to know, but we're more concerned about those who know already and do not know how to go about it. Okay, we're concerned about those who know and are not getting the results. So we want to take all the knowledge and all the experiences that you have, and we want to show you results. So when I come here and I talk about the kids and I share my kids with you, it's because I want you to see the manifestation of the knowledge that you have, that I have able to put into practice, that you are a bit, you're not sure how to put it into practice, or you are not putting it into practice at all, or you are busy with your other things and it's not helping you put them into practice, or that you just need support to do more, like I still need support with other people, from other people, to do more. It is what it is. The person that said it takes a village to train a child, that person is so intelligent. It actually does take a village to train a child. So yes, if you put your child in your house alone and you are there clapping your hands and giving yourself kudos and telling yourself how great you are as a parent, sorry, the four walls of your home is too small to raise a global citizen. The stake is high. People are building hotels in Mars. And so meaning Elon just raised the bar for our children. The stake is high. So you cannot be raising a child in the four walls of your home where all you are telling them is, have you greeted uncle? Did you greet auntie? Have you brushed your teeth? Don't look at that picture. If you look at that picture, if you touch, you will get pregnant. If you get pregnant, your whole life will be ruined. You cannot be the doctor anymore. You cannot be if that is where you are at. Have you read the chapter? How many chapters of the Bible did you read today? How long did you pray? How many? If this is all you are doing, then I beg the all this. I mean, what's coming? What is coming? What is coming? What's ahead of us is too much. It's too heavy for this kind for you to be here. We moved on. You are still in 1980. We are in 2022. You need to move. You need to move, parents. We need to move. Okay. So the knowledge you had 10 years ago is obsolete. The one you had 2 months ago is obsolete. Even the one you had yesterday is obsolete. So you need to upgrade every day. It's a daily upgrading something. Okay, so I'm going to go right into how you can introduce this habit to your children. Number one is you want to prepare your space. You want to prepare your space for lifelong learning. You want to prepare your space. Hi, Chidima. How much is it? It's just 2,000 naira. Very can we get the books? That's the thing. Okay, I'll talk to you about this challenge and what the challenge is like. Okay, the book is going to be relative. Okay, but I'll talk to you about the challenge and what the challenge is going to look like. It's for every age. I mean, from your toddler to your child in your teenager and all that. You can use this challenge for. They can be a part. You can be a part of this challenge for all of them. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, I'll talk to you about the challenge before we go off. All right, so the first thing you want to do is prepare your space. Okay, you want to prepare your ambience. You want to prepare your space. You want your children to come into your space and your space says read. You want them to come into your space and your space says learn. You want the ambience in your home to have the energy of learning and the energy, right? The energy should be for learning in your space. So how are you creating your space? This room where I am right now is this space where I am right now is where I work. If you turn to the left or to my right hand side is a library. I don't have a single book on that library. The whole of that library is for my children. Okay, if you look behind me, this is supposed to be a part of my library, the books that I use when I'm working. So most of what you see up there are my parenting books. Okay, the guy who did this made a mistake. It was supposed to be about 2 layers and all of that. Right. If you turn to the left-hand side of this book, is a wardrobe. That wardrobe is full of my daughter's. I want to show you this picture, as messy as it will look. Let me show you. So can you see that? Okay, so can you see that whole wardrobe? It's my daughter's stuff that she creates and plays with. That's a board that we use for presentation. I want to show you the floor. Okay, I need you to see the floor. That's my daughter working before she had to step out because mommy was about to have a class. Okay. Now, if I turn to this other side, you will see a whole trolley filled with crayons, acrylic paints, cardboard, all kinds of paints and all of that. Right. Now, this is because I am very deliberate. I am very intentional about the space that I create for the children. I need them to come into this space and get lost creating in this space, right? And I had to make sacrifices for me to do this. I didn't have an extra space in my home. So what did we do? We stopped having living helps or domestic staff and all of that. So if we have anyone who comes to do any work, the person has to come and the person has to leave because we needed the space for what was important or what is important. Okay. I always talk about dynamics. Work with your dynamics. Hi, Jamila, it's good to see you. Okay. So work with your dynamics, but whatever you're working with, okay, please ensure that you are intentional about your children being lifelong learners. Be intentional about that, like even if it will break your back. Be intentional about your children's learning and how that learning is happening. And so it starts by creating the right ambience. Okay, let them come in. So it will to tell you how it is, right? When our kids have their friends come over, right? It's very easy. Right? It's very easy. Kids go to homes and the first thing they do is jump on the couch and they're watching TV and all of that. No, it doesn't happen like that in my home. In my home, my kids have their friends come in here and they are creating cars and they are building they're creating stuff and they're building stuff and they are painting and they're doing stuff. Because when you come in, this is what is available when you come in as a child. So the kids come in here and they're excited about creating stuff, about painting, about coloring, about writing, about all of that, because the ambience has been prepared for learning. If you go into our son's room, when you get there, you will see there is no TV in the room. We don't do TV in the room for the kids. So you will see by the side of his bed, you will see it's not supposed to be there. But what he's done, picked two boxes of his series books, right? And then he has those two boxes right there. That's where he has them, right? So when he wants to sleep, all he needs to do is stretch his hand, and you see him pick a book that he wants to read. Our son is just another character. So my children do not go to bed without reading. They want. I don't have to tell them to go to bed with books or not. It's a habit that we've created over the years, and then it has become second nature. So when the kids go to book, my kids wind down with a book. So our son picks it. I mean, he goes to his room and he stretches his hand. So usually he will come to either this library or a general library where he has his section, and then he will pick a book now and then go to his room. Recently, he's outgrown a lot of his books, so he's beginning to read his father's books. Okay, so the other day I went and I saw him reading a book that I know. I'm like, oh, that's what you're reading. He's like, Kaibom is such a great book. So he has gravitated, as in he has moved from his books and he's beginning to read his father's book. So he reads those books, 300, 400, 600 pages, small text and all of that. And he's 12 in Genesis 1. Oh, we're going to Genesis 2. All right, so basically, he's moved that way. But then again, we didn't get here in one day, right? This ambient, my children were born with a library. We had a robust library. So they were born, with a library. I mean, they've never lived without books. They've never known a life without books, right? And all of that. So you want to create that kind of ambience. You want to, and then if you come to my home, we're about arts. Okay, so we're my husband, my husband is an arts person. So when you come to the house, you have abstracts and you have, paintings that make you want to think, that make you want to ask questions and all of that. So my husband is very about African arts and all of that. So basically, what are your children seeing? How does your environment invite them to learn? Okay, now when you come to there's a space in my home that when you walk to, right, what you will see our family policy, and then you will see our family, you see our policy, you will see our agreements. So you see our policy, you see our agreements and all of that. You see there as you come into that space to go into the room. That's what you see. So you walk in there, it's looking at you, right? It is looking at you, basically what is acceptable in this home and what is not acceptable in this room. Now, when you go to my living room, you go to the dining area, just there, because it is important that the people who come to be with us, who do not necessarily have to go into the living area, right, understand what media is acceptable in my home. So you will see our media plans sitting, right there on the wall. So you see people come into our home, we're having conversations and all of that, and you see they are drawn because it's a pretty frame kind of hard paper kind of pretty frame. I actually paid money for them to give me something really nice, right? So you see people who come into our home, we're having conversations, and they actually stand up and walk to the media plant and they are looking at it. So they look at it, and okay. So some people will ask questions. Oh wow, this looks good. Oh wow, what's this about? Oh wow, and all of that. So no, we don't have to explain anything. You understand. So their friends come to our home and they understand, even at the weekend, why the TV won't come on till 12 p.m. So when their friends come around, they don't force. We just create stuff. We just build stuff. We just do stuff. We just play stuff. No video games, no TV, nothing till about 12. And you know what happens? Sometimes the kids even forget till about 1, 2 before they'll be like, oh, okay, it's past 12. We can watch TV now. It is sitting and these things are low. it's not, I don't even like to look at it or say it is law per se. What I'm saying is we have learned, we have agreed on these things. We have talked about these things. So when we have our family meetings, after talking about everything, yes, environment, very key. After talking about, what has happened during the week, what mommy did that you didn't like, what mommy did that you liked, after saying all the thank you to daddy, and all of that for the week, we always review one of our family documents. We review one of our family documents after every family meeting. And usually the kids do it these days. I just say to them, okay, what are we looking at today? And my daughter will be like, let's look at our media plan, or let's look at our family values, or let's look at our family tagline, or, and all of that, so our mission, our vision, our tagline, our kids know this. So when you come, you will meet our media plan and you will meet our vision, our mission, and our tagline. So when you come in, you know what we are about as a family. So no, I don't have that case that people say, oh, I have in-law in my house, he will not listen to me, he's always watching one thing. No, you're not watching nothing. The day you strolled into my home, you will know what we watch and what we don't watch. It is, and there's no fight about the matter. You know that I don't have any bias against you as an in-law, and my siblings know that my husband doesn't have any bias against them. They just know this is who we are. So you need to basically create that ambience, create that environment that allows you, that puts your children in that space where they are stable. That's what these things create for you. They create stability in your home. So what is your ambience? Okay, so you must have a robust library. Have a library. If you do not have one, start creating a library right now. Put some budgets to books. Put some budget to books. It doesn't have to be too much. Okay, there was a time our kids got only one book every month. They grabbed, they what do you call it? They moved from one book to two books every month. They moved to three books every month. Okay, and then so basically, then they moved to a budget. Whatever that budget can buy for you is all you get for books. And guess what? Now the kids get allowances. Our son gets a salary from his business, and he buys books for himself. Okay, so what we do with some of these habits is we want to introduce them, and then we want to stay on it until our children internalize them. Okay, so I can walk into a library with the kids, and then you need to do all of that. We will talk about that. Okay, I can walk into the library with the kids and they say, oh, mommy, I like this book. Can you get it for me? I'm like, not my budget. And they're like looking at their own and they're like, something, I can buy it for myself. Right? So basically, you want to create that hunger, right, for reading and for books and all of that. Okay? Let your ambience promote reading and learning. Okay, put up quotes. Okay, have those beautiful, pretty things now. When you go, you see those. Go to all those art shop and you see those pretty quotes that are saying something rich that can empower your children. Buy it and put it somewhere. Now, put it in the toilet, put it in the corridor, put it in the ocean, put it wherever your children will see it. These are the things they see, isn't it? These are the things they see and all of that. Own your library space. Own your library space. Let your children own their library space. So I had to give them their own library, right? I created this. I paid for it to be made just for them. And then you see our son dragging books into his room, even with all the two other libraries in the house. Very, very key. Okay, the number two thing you want to do, you want to cultivate a habit of reading with and to your children. Read aloud. Read aloud is such an amazing strategy to reading, especially for your young children. And the good thing, you can even read to your older children. There is no age, right? There is no age limit, but it's a great way to introduce reading to your young children. And read aloud begins right from when you are. Some of us were overzealous, eh? Read. Are you pregnant? Begin to read. Parents, are you your last trimester? Start reading. Okay, start reading. Just read aloud and talk to your child. Read aloud and speak to your child. Hey, sweetie, I'm gonna read you a story. We're gonna read about Chicken Licken. What does it take now? Are you not going to lie down on that bed and still read Instagram post and read Facebook post and read all of that? So is it because we say open your mouth that is a problem? So please pick the book and then read something. Hey, sweetie, pick the Bible, pick the Quran, pick whatever you believe in and say, sweetie, I'm going to read to you about what happened to Moses. And then read like that. Clown now. You will need it when you have a child. You will need to clown when you have a child. So start practicing. All of you serious people, people. It's all right. Start practicing like that. Eh? So when your children come, the moment your CS scar or your CS pain is done, the moment your episode, what do they call that one? Episiotomy or whatever is done, the moment you have yourself back, when you are packing your antenatal bag, pack your antenatal bag and with a book. It's all right. It is programming. You see how when you finish in the hospital, you see how when you they finish taking the delivery of your child, you see how they make you go bare, in society that they know what's going on. You see how they make you go bare and they put your child to your chest, to your breast, just so that you can bond. Right? That's how I want you to put books and you see how, even when you have daddy around, when they finish with the mother, they allow you bond with your child, like skin to skin kind of thing, bonding, looks like I know you have started like you have. So the way you bond skin to skin with your child, they put your child to you, and then you bond skin to skin. They finish, then they take it to the father, and they do the same thing. As Africans, we can just do too much. That when ignorance they smell. That's our work. Ignorance where they smell. We have all this funny. We have all this funny explanation to everything. So we are the ones that do not know nothing about child psychology. We're the ones that did not invent medicine. We're the ones that have not invented anything. Yet we're the ones that know how to trivialize everything that other people do. Right? So we're the ones that you go to the hospital and you finish, and nurses are there yelling at you, screaming. In the presence of a new baby, we're there doing anyhow. Right? We're the ones that do not even think there should be any skin to skin, that kind of thing. You have your baby, they take the baby, they put the baby in one. People who understand these things, who have studied these things, understand the need for all that bonding, because they understand programming, and all of that. Right. So it's the same way. The moment you are stable enough, I need you to start reading to your child. Let your child enjoy the soothing, the soothing that comes from your voice. Okay, forget about books. If you don't like books, you hate it so much, you don't want to think of it as something that gives you a reason to soothe your child with your voice. At least when you're reading from a book, you will have to read for some minutes. Okay, so when you're reading that story, rather than just say, I love you, baby, read the whole text. By the time you finish, your child would have heard your soothing voice there for long. At least we all agree that your voice can soothe your child, isn't it? We all agree that the brain, the ear is alive and it hears, isn't it? We all agree about that. So soothe your child with your voice that way. Okay, start by reading aloud. So when you start reading like that, that's it. You're soothing your child with your voice. Your child is knowing you. Your child is being comforted by your voice. You know how a child is crying and the father or the mother just says, hey, sweetie, and the child stops. Do that with books with your children. Okay? So read aloud to your children. When you come home, start reading bedtime story. Make bedtime story a culture, a habit in your home. Okay, our kids have had bedtime story. My daughter is 7. She will come here and I'm in a conference and she will still harass me to read her a book. I am in a conference. I'm here in a conference and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm in a conference. No way. I'm not sleeping. Mommy, please, daddy is in here. Or mommy, please, daddy is eating. Or mommy, please, can you read me to you? I even want to read me a story too. And my daughter still winds down with a story, not just read by herself, but by daddy or mommy. And she is 7 years old. Create habits around these things. Okay, this is how your children will love and enjoy it. So our son did not start reading books on his own, right? Till he was 7 going on 8. Our daughter started picking books and reading since she could open her mouth to. In fact, she picture read. She will picture read. She will create her own story with what she sees. As in, she will read at 2 and you will believe the story. But our son was not interested. He just wanted me to read to him. Mommy, please read it to me. Counsel, you need to read this book. Mommy, please, can you read to me? So he will enjoy reading. When you finish reading, ask him to retell. He will retell you everything. Ask him to, discuss the character with him. He will give you, He will analyze the character for you and he will do a review with you. But tell him, take the book and read, he will not read. So what did I do? I hung on there. I read him books. Even at 7, I was reading to him. Even at 6, Daddy was reading to him. Okay, when he even decides to read, he will pick an encyclopedia and read about cars and read about how tigers or how lions are this and not that. He will tell you everything about animals. He will read those, but he won't read a storybook. He won't read any of those things. But all of it is still reading, isn't it? Right? So it was only after he joined a reading challenge, like what we are putting together for you, and the strategies that I had to use during that reading challenge to make it fun. That's how he became a reader, and now he's such a voracious reader. He cannot, we beg him to drop books. So when our son goes to sleep, I have to go to the room 2 other times. I'll have to go to the room about 10:30 to tell him, you need to drop that book and go to sleep. Sometimes I will have to go back around 11 or thereabout to say to him, this is unacceptable. You need to drop your books. And you need to drop that book for him to actually drop and go to sleep. Okay? So very, very key that we do all of this. Okay, so read to them, read bedtime stories to them, read on a road trip. When you are going to school, it's okay. Pick a book and read. Let the children read aloud while you drive, and you can discuss and have a conversation about the book. It's a good time to read your Bible stories, apart from your devotion, and all of that when you're praying. We're talking about reading like Bible stories, and you want to analyze the character of David. You want to analyze the character of David. You want to analyze, how he was as a king and all of that. Reading aloud when you are on a road trip, when you're driving to school, driving to church, going visiting grandma and all of that. It's a very good way to introduce books and reading to your children. Okay, that's kind of see my son. He stays up to read. Exactly. So basically, yeah. So read on road trips and all of that. Then shared reading. Okay, have a book at every point that you're sharing with your children. So you can have a book that you will end up reading for 4 months. It's okay. It's okay. Just know that when we read Etima's book, what do you call it? Maintain Your White. Our son and I read Maintain Your White together. Okay, and it took us, I can't remember how long it took us to read Maintain Your White, but we had it permanently in the car with our bookmark. So when we're going to school, at the time my daughter was homeschooling, right? So when I'm dropping him off in school and she's at home, we take it, and on our way we will pick, and then he will read. We will just read a paragraph or 2, sometimes a whole page, depending on how the journey is to school, and then we drop and we have a conversation about this. This is how my sex conversation, this is how I launched, the advanced part of my sex conversation with then 11-year-old. He was about 10, 11 then. That's how we launched it, basically. That's how we read Rich Dad Poor Dad. We read Rich Dad, the whole book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. We read it on, the trip. It's such that at those times our daughter will even be there. She will even add her own, thoughts to the conversation. We were reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, how many people read Rich Dad Poor Dad with their children? But hey, you can introduce those kind of books, and that's how you launch your children into other journeys, non-fiction books and all of that. So what you do when you're transitioning from just fiction books to non-fiction books, what you want to do is you want to introduce shared or body reading to your children, such that they can read a book that ordinarily they won't pick on their own. So you can introduce them into such a higher level books through your shared reading. So you can just read one paragraph. So you're reading, you're like, hey, sweetie, okay, you give to your 7-year-old. Yeah, as far as they can read. All right, sweetie, just read this paragraph for us so that we can discuss it. And sometimes our daughter will be like, me, I want to read it. And then we hand it to her. She would read and all of that. While she's reading the text, she might not make so much sense of the text, but then she will make so much sense of the conversation. So you see how you're introducing a higher level book to your children, right? Before they get there on their own. Right? And then you can have value conversations. That's a book on financial education and all of that. And because we are big on financial education, giving our children real financial education, so books like that come in handy. All right, the next thing, we have just a few minutes to go. All right, so share reading. The next thing, you want to introduce comic books. Okay, at this point, you're trying to get your children into reading books. So comic books are just okay, right? Especially when they're younger. So you can introduce comic books. And how do you do comic books? When you go shopping, you should go grocery shopping with your children from time to time. So when you go shop right, you go to the supermarket, you go to Walmart, you go to Tesla, when you go to all of these places, at the end of your shopping, reward your children with a comic. Okay, the change, the coins, the whatever from your shopping, reward them with a comic book and all of that. Of course, you would have censored and the one that is, okay for them as per your values. Right? So do that. Pick a comic book and then give it to them on your way while you're driving back. You can tell them, oh, what's your comic? Just read. Tell me the story and all of that. They know how they read those comics and make sense of it, and then they read it and they laugh and you laugh with them. Oh, is that what Buddhas did? And just enjoy reading. You are trying to cultivate something there. Okay? So introduce cartoons and comic books, do that, and all of that. Then do introduce create family habits. I'm giving you 5. So create family habits and traditions that involve reading. Okay, your family traditions are very, very key. I hope you have some of your family traditions. So what you want to do is you want to introduce books into some of your family traditions. Very, very key. Okay, so what we started doing, what we did with the children at some point, we still do it from time to time, is we have the children do presentations to us at home. Okay, so our presentations could be a book that you've read. Our presentation could be your schoolwork. We still do that very well at the end of the term. Okay, so what this does, it introduces your children to research. Okay, introduces them to research. So you're building different things at the same time. Your children are introduced into research. You're building research skills. You're building public speaking skills, right? Public speaking skills, and you're introducing them into reading. All right. So for instance, our daughter can learn, what she's learned is when I say to her, we have presentation at the end of the month. Okay. At the end of the month, like 3 weeks, they just know at the end of the month. And then this month we're doing science. So what it means is she has to pick a topic from her science, that she's done in school. And she has to research on that topic more, right? Because she's going to do a presentation. So those times you will see them come in here and she will ask her brother, Kamsi, please, can you help me? I want to do a research on the water cycle and all of that. So you will see her come here and then she will get more information. She will watch videos on YouTube about the water cycle. She will read one article. When my children study, this is how it goes. You read 2 articles and then you watch 2 videos. So that's how you start. That's how you do your research. So she will research from 2 videos and then her brother is always helping her. And then she would read 2 articles on that. And then, of course, we always have our store of cardboard papers and all of that. And then she can ask mommy, can you get me this? Can you get me that if we don't have? But what we try to do is we try to have all these resources at home so that the children can self-direct their learning and they can create without being inhibited. That's what you want to do. All right. So she will create and then she creates all and then creates her model that she wants to use to teach that subject. Okay. For the end of the month, our son will most often do a PowerPoint presentation. And so on the day of presentation, what is my own work? My work is to make it fun. So I would make snack, make shawarma, or whatever it is. And what they do is they give daddy a heads up. 2 days, 3 days, they will tell daddy or they'll tell daddy we have presentation this Sunday or this Saturday and all of that. So sometimes daddy may not be available on Saturday, and it means that month we have to do it on a Sunday. Okay, because that is the one that is not very, stable. It could be that it has work on this day or that day. And then on the day, the children connect, their presentation either to the board or to the big screen, and we're there and they teach us. So basically what you're doing is you're forcing as you're making your children enjoy learning, you're making them enjoy research skills, you are teaching them public speaking, you're teaching them presentation skills, and all of that responsibility, all of this. These are ways that you can introduce reading and lifelong learning to your children. Okay, the last one is I talked about shared reading. You want to introduce fun into your reading. You want to introduce fun into reading. Okay, so one of the ways you can do this is the scavenger hunt. The scavenger hunt works very well, especially for your young children. When you want to introduce your children into chapter books, you want to introduce your 6-year-old, your 5-6-year-old. Our daughter started reading chapter books when she was 5. Some kids won't read chapter books till they are 6 or 7. Okay, now you want to transition them from level readers, like level 1, level 2, level 3. You want to transition them into like chapter books and all of that. A good way to do it is to do scavenger hunts. Okay, see, parenting is some work, and just get set for the work. Let's do it. So what you can do is you can write out, or you can photocopy each of the chapters. And usually at that level, the chapters are really very small. Okay, so you can photocopy each of the chapter, or you can photocopy a part of each of the chapter. Okay, so you fold the book, you put a chocolate and roll it around it, and then you you put it in different areas in the house. Or if you want to do the scavenger hunt in the compound, then you put it in different areas, different spots in the compound. Now, if it's in the compound, you may want to also create a map. The children love that. They like to feel like, what do they call them? Sailors, what do they call them now? They like to feel like, just leave me alone. So our son would like to create a map, right, that will lead you to the treasure. So there it's like a treasure hunt, right? So like a treasure hunt, and you want to create a map that will take you to where the treasures are. So he would create the map, and all of that, and then the kids will have to take the map and be looking for where to find each of the treasure. So you're able to read the map that will take you to, adventures, yes. So it would take you to where each of the treasures. So they get there, and whoever gets that would have to now read that part. So you open it and you have to read that part of the story. So she goes, she reads, and so Tommy did this, and the dog that. When she finishes, then the chocolate is yours, isn't it? Then you go to the next one, that way, before you know it, the child has finished reading a whole chapter of that book, right? He has finished reading a whole chapter of that book, or they finished reading that chapter. So that's scavenger hunt. Usually you want to go like, find one first before you get two, if you want to do that. So meaning they have to find the first part of the book, find the second part of it, the third. So at the end of probably 5 or 6, of the treasures, they would have finished reading the chapter of that book. So it's a good way to introduce them into chapter reading. So you want to put fun into the reading. So there you go, parents. All right. And that's what we want to do with you and for you during this summer holiday. All right. So no, it's not one of those challenges that we come and we give you the books that the kids are reading. No, we're not giving you the books. What's going to happen is at the beginning of the challenge, we're going to prompt you and the kids to create goals, because we understand that until a lot of the things that we do move from us wanting our children to do it, us forcing our children to do it, to our children beginning and wanting to do it for themselves because of the motivation behind it, because of the fun behind it, because they love to, until we move from we being the ones forcing it, pushing it, and making it happen, to the children wanting to be a part of it. Nothing is internalized. Okay, so I told you, I am not about the information that you get, because I know we are all getting all kinds of information. I know there are all kinds of book, challenges and everything all around. No, we're not concerned about how many books your children read. We're concerned about how many books your children are willing to read. So we want you to create goals with your children. So they will create their goals and say, for this summer, I want to read 5 books. For this summer, I want to read 10 books. For this summer, let them challenge themselves. So if you have a big family, or they have siblings, you can actually say, hey guys, we're going to have a book challenge, all of us, right? Now, we want you to put something exciting to that challenge. For instance, you can say, if we finish and we all do well, we are going to have a house party. Right? At the end of the challenge, if we all do well, we'll have a house party. So that way you're making it a team thing. So everybody is involved and everybody is helping each other to do what they have to do. So you can get them to work as a team, right? That way, when you put it that way. Or you can even make it extra. Whoever finishes or whoever does well is going to decide everything that we're going to have in that party. Just give them an extra hand and all of that. The person who does well or the person who, whatever, that way. So basically, with that, we are gingered, we're ready. Now you sit down and everybody creates their plan. How many? You, how many? We're not about, shaming children. Hi, Chidima. All this. Yeah, so just for 2,000 naira. We're not about shaming children. We are not about telling children this one is better than you. You can't see how many books do you want to read. So Kamsi challenges himself to 10 books. Right. So 10 books, we don't even want this challenge to be difficult for you. Can you afford 10 books? Go buy 10 books. If you cannot afford 10 books, do you have friends that you can borrow 5 or 6 of the books from? Not books that they've read before. Okay. Can you have friends that we can borrow books from and all of that? If you're in Abuja, you have kids my children's age, tell me, we will lend you books. Okay. Do you have and all of that? So let's borrow books. Do you do reading online and all of that? We can show you, give you some sites if you're into that. I'm not big on reading on, it's still back to screen time, and I don't want to do that a lot, so I don't let the children read from phones and tablets. So if you're into that, we just want the kids to read. So if you're sure that you can monitor them and make sure that they read and they're not all over the place on those tablets and on those screens, by all means. If you can actually connect to the computer or connect to the large screen, you have 2 kids about the same age reading the same thing, connect it to the large screen, let them read from the large screen. We are concerned about the children really reading. Okay, so we will send you book logs. We'll send you book logs, and we'll send you everything that they need, right, to record, illustrate, do the illustration and do the recording of the books that they've read and all of that. Now, at the end of the day, we will give you a fun activity every day. Okay, for example, the scavenger hunt is an activity, and for a particular day, this is what you're going to be doing. So we have fun activities like that for a whole 30 days. We will post them the night before so that you can prepare yourself for that. And you know the good part, I'm going to be doing this with my children also. So you have your first-hand example, or you have the first report or the first picture from us. So yes, that's what you're going to do. We will do that every day, a fun activity to look forward to, a fun activity to, and they will report every day. If we don't get your report at a particular time, we will call you. If we don't get your report, so you can put the children on the phone with me when I call, because, hey, what's going on? We have not seen you report and all of that. We just want the children reading. And I do everything to get the children doing, because I understand that the learning is not in the talk. The learning is not in how you now look as a parent. I'm an intentional parent. Everybody knows. The neighbors knows. Everybody knows. How is it translating in your children? Are your children, are the children living it? You understand? So I'm concerned. I'm not concerned about how much knowledge you've gathered. I'm not concerned about how much, everybody sees that you have gathered knowledge. I'm concerned about that, how that knowledge is affecting your children today. All right. So I am here to insist that that knowledge is transferred. You know too much. Please let it be transferred and let it begin to yield results. So that's what we want to do. So I feel that until children begin to put their hands to the plow, until children begin to self-direct, until children begin to internalize what we're teaching, until children become interested, until we're able to look for ways to bring activities and allow our children get a sense of satisfaction from those activities, then our children are not learning. Our children are just fulfilling righteousness like many of us do with everything that we do, from our marriages to our jobs to our this to our that. We're just doing not because we want to, not because we love to, not because it feeds us, not because it's, we're doing because we have to do. No, we can't raise children who are doing because they have to do. Elon Musk is not launching the hotel in Mars because he wants to. Because people need him to. He's launching it because he wants to. Is his passion. Okay, so that's it. So that's what the challenge is about. So yes, we're not giving you all the books and all of that. We're not. If you want suggestions, we will suggest. If you want where to get them, we can suggest. If you want sites, we can suggest. If you want books, we can suggest. But no, we're not giving you, and we're not insisting that it's 20, 30, 40, or 50 books. It's you and the kids making up their mind. So at the beginning of the challenge, you will be telling us, okay, child A is reading 20, child B is reading 30, child this is reading like that and all like that. So we just want it to be really really, really fun. We don't want it to be that thing that you have to wake up and insult everybody in the house because look at you. No, we don't want that. All right. So, parents, I hope you got value from this session today. We're a bit okay, 5 minutes we've taken. Sorry about that. I wanted to make sure it's exactly 1 hour. So, thank you for joining us. I see you, Jamila. I see you, Chi Prosper. I see you, Chidima. I see you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you got value from this session. If you did, please let us see in the comments. Let us see your emojis telling us that you got value from this class today. All right, so I'm going to have to leave you right now to go and register for the challenge if you have not registered. It's going to be fun and it's not expensive. It's just 2K. 2K is all right. Okay, it's going to be okay. Just 2K. Go register for the challenge. Share the flyer with your friends. Explain to them and all of that. Tell them it's a challenge that will make the child do and not you force. All right, thank you very much. Have the best rest of the day. Thank you so much. All right, my name is Maribeth Chima, and I'm excited, always excited to be a part of your journey and to be your co-pilot on this journey. Have a blessed rest of the day. Bye.